Welcome to The Blind. It is season 2, episode 11. We've got our man Zack Randall with us. We're going to talk about some fast boats and getting ready, get geared up for duck season. It's coming soon here in Arkansas. We'll play a little intro and we'll talk reaper boats. Welcome to season 2 of The Blind. We are live in the Lyle Real Estate Studio. We've got our man Zack Randall with us. Should we call you Zack or should we just call you Z Randy?
Hey, call me anything you want. I don't care.
Just don't call you late for dinner, huh?
Don't call me late for dinner.
Well, look, before we get started, I know that you have a shout out for somebody somebody special that may be watching tonight. We hope she's watching.
Yeah, she's
Who might
watching.
that be?
That's all anybody wants to talk about anymore. They don't care about reaper boats. They care about who my girlfriend is. She's out there, Lake and Fulcher.
Yeah, and I think she's a lot bigger deal than what you are. Garrett, I think we got the wrong partner here.
You probably should talk to her.
What's her claim to fame?
I don't know what it is, but she's a lot more famous than what he is.
Well, she's incredibly beautiful, which definitely doesn't hurt. But for the most part, she's got a huge Christian following, faith-based outdoor platform on Instagram that's really taken off. She's actually got an apparel line that's fixing to come out. This is it right here, Tree Church.
So she's a hunter, huh?
She's a killer.
Oh, watch out.
Well, hey, we may need to get some merch so we can rep it here on the show. So I think we'll make sure. I'm sure she's watching, so we'll make sure that we talk
can
with
probably
her.
line something up.
Yeah, I think we have an inside connection.
I haven't had to play second fiddle before, so this is nice to be in the background.
That's right. That's right. Well, if you're tuning in on Facebook or you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we appreciate you for tuning in to another episode of The Blind. Before we get started, each and every week, we've got to give a big shout out to all of the people that make this possible each and every week. You can see them on your screen there. Of course, Lyle Real Estate, Perfect Limit Outdoors, Apex Ammunition, Shin Gear, Alpha Innovations, and Stratton Seed Company, along with the official coffee of The Blind, Dirty Duck Coffee. Let me get a little sip here.
That dirty duck, how's it tasting?
It's actually pretty good. I don't have anything in there but a little dash of sugar, but
It'll keep you warm in the duck blind, won't it?
nothing stronger in there right now, even though it's nighttime.
It's almost that time of year where you need it all the time.
I know it. I might need some. And speaking of that, they just came out with their new what do you call those things? K cups. Yeah. So get over and check out our guys over at Dirty Duck Coffee. But we appreciate all of our partners for helping make this possible each and every week. And like I said, we're into season 2. And Zack, you were one of our guests on season 1, and a lot has happened since then.
I'd say a lot's happened since then. We made some moves.
Yeah. So for let's just get started with this. For people that don't know you, tell everybody who you are, how old you are, where you're from, and kind of where you're based out of.
Well, I'm Zack Randall. I'm 30 years old. Own a company, co-own a company called Reaper Boats. We're in North Louisiana, Ruston, Louisiana. Been here for 2 years. And just been very blessed, very fortunate for the way that's taken off in the market, the way that it has. We've got a lot of faith in us and a lot of consumers, and just growing like wildfire, man. We're just trying to keep up.
But man, not only do you make really, really good looking boats, of course that is a big appeal, but I hear you make some pretty fast boats as well.
They're quick. They're functional, first of all. I mean, that's ultimately the goal, and the reason that I think that they've sold so well is that we built it around duck hunters. I mean, I'm probably the youngest guy in the country involved with one of these companies that really has the final say. So we built it around my needs and the needs of the guys that I spend time with in the woods. So it's functional first of all, but yeah, it'll go pretty quick. It'll go pretty quick in a straight line if you needed to.
Y'all pretty much laid your fame to timber boats. Is that right? Y'all hunt the
Yeah,
Arkansas timber.
I tell people all the time, I'm not a waterfowl hunter. I mean, I'm a timber hunter. That's what I do. I don't really care to go sit in a rice pit with anybody. I've killed them on a dry field a handful of times, and that's fun. But if I can't shoot them in the trees, I'm probably not going to go.
Well, I know that there are some guys out there, and I swore I wouldn't say their names, and
Don't even say it.
They're going to tune in. I'm not going to call their names, but it is open game here, okay? And it's if you have a comment and you're watching on Facebook, you can comment, and it will show up on here. And if so, you know, I'm sure there's going to be some people that want to give Zack a hard time, so throw those in there. But if you have a serious question about their boats, make sure that you make sure throughout the show you get those on there, and we'll let Zack answer any questions that you may have out there. And don't get too crazy with it. We don't want to have to delete it. But Zack, why don't you take us all the way back to the very beginning? How did this idea even begin in the smallest part of your mind to start your own boat company?
It's a wild ride, really. Like I would say, it was in college. My best friend and I, Ryan Wade, we were painting our own boats and constantly messing with motors. And this at that time, you know, this performance aluminum boat market was just kind of coming to be. Edge was the first one in the game, but it just really was gaining a ton of popularity. And you know, that led into me. What I did for work coming out of college was refinishing duck boats and setting up motors for people and lighting and accessories and rigging, you know, and there wasn't a whole lot of people that did that then. I mean, there's probably way more now, 3 or 4 maybe back then. And that just transitioned into me becoming a dealer for Edge boats, and then fortunate enough to make a relationship with Mossy Oak along the way and designed a boat with them called the Gamekeeper, and then we produced that at Edge. But, you know, I went to work for Edge after that, and the whole time I was there, man, that was 2015, 2016. I was at Edge, left there at the end of 20 and started Reaper at the end of 21.
So you didn't just go out hunting one day and just decide I'm going to go home tomorrow and start building a boat. I mean, this is a
10-year track to get here.
Yeah, you've been in the game. You're not new to it.
Yeah.
Got a little skin.
And so, you know, you hit on it just a little bit there, and of course we're going to get more into the boats as we go. But let's talk about your relationship with Mossy Oak, because you make some, as we mentioned in the very beginning, you make some really good looking boats. What all patterns are you painting these boats right now?
Well, Bottomland's our number one seller. I think anything in the country you can put Bottomland on is probably.
Can you make me one in tree stand?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I've seen a couple of tree stand boats out there recently.
There's a couple of them, and they look good, but
they do look good.
I'm waiting on the real stencil to come from Mossy Oak itself, and then I'll put it on.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you. What would be the holdup there? Do they release it to people to use at a certain time, or how does that process work if you want?
Well, I don't know if the person that got that stencil already actually followed the licensing that they should, but I have a license with Mossy Oak, and it covers tree stand and really any Mossy Oak pattern I want to. But I'm working with their guys in the back office that work on their decoration. So the guys that deal with film and hydrofilm and gun dipping and different things like that, that's who's developing that stencil with me. So when I get something with them, the thing is it's got to make sense for me in the application time. You know, if somebody's just refinishing a boat for somebody or doing their own boat, they only need it to work once or twice. Like,
yeah,
I need it to work 800 times and in a timely fashion.
Yeah. So when you decided you were going to build your own boat, what was your, and of course I'm sure this changed over time, but what was your original idea, your original goal? What did you want to make, and what did you want to achieve?
Well, my goals, number one, were functionality. I just wanted it to make sense. There's a lot of boats out there that just don't make sense from a hunter standpoint. Stuff's not in the right place. The back bench is too big. The front deck's too big, too low, not enough storage, different things like that. But second of all, I want the performance was the biggest thing besides that. I wanted the boat to be quick. I wanted it to ride well with a load or without a load, and I wanted it to turn, under any environment, any climate. I wanted that boat to turn just as well at 50 miles an hour as it did at 5.
And for our listeners that don't really hunt timber, why is that so important, being able to turn like that?
Well, we don't do a lot of racing anymore.
Is that not a thing anymore?
No comment. But we don't do a lot of that anymore.
Publicly saying we don't race anymore.
Once we get out of sight, we don't do that.
I'm not endorsing it. But man, it's not even that as much as, even let's take the racing out of it. There's so much backwater that gets hunted when you're dealing with swollen rivers, flooded rivers. You're going up creeks, you're going up sloughs that have current. There's obstructions in the water. There's different things. So a boat being really agile and able to navigate those things is so important. Aside from, hey, who's going to get their hole first? It's a safety deal, being able to handle that well.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there's a lot of, planning and I guess we would say a science behind making a boat that can do certain things well. You can't just build a one-size-fits-all kind of boat, I guess. And that may be the struggle that we've seen, is these boat companies out there make a boat that they want people to be able to buy, to fish out of, to do this, to hunt, to, all these different things. So it's never set up just for a hunter. You're building your boats set up for hunters.
Yeah, I'm going after a specific hunting audience. With that being said, the boat's functional, and there's a lot of people that fish out of it. Mm-hmm. Because the same things that make sense for hunting make sense for other applications. There's a lot of people, I've seen a culture come about in the last few years where, you remember, four-wheelers were the big thing when we were in high school and coming up, and people are buying these boats and riding rivers and hanging out on sandbars the same way that we used to, gather up and ride four-wheelers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're going to get into that a little more later, because you had a cool little, I don't even know what you call it. What'd you call it? Was Reaper Fest?
Reaper Fest.
But what do you call something like that? Is that like a boat run, or what do you call something like that?
Well, it was like it was a boat run, I guess, because we went, 10 miles upriver, and then it was kind of just a big hangout, just a way to get a customer base together, and a group of people. The final count we have was like 340 boats. It was a bunch of people.
That's pretty good.
That's great. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and what your plans are with that later on, so don't let me forget. But
yeah.
Well, look, before we dive off into exactly what you're making and get a little more in depth on the Reaper boats, let's take our first commercial break of the night. And when we come back, we're going to dive more into Reaper boats and talk some actual products. So we'll show a little love to our sponsors. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back here to episode 11. We've got our man Zack Randall from Reaper Boats with us. Again, if you're watching on Facebook or you tune in on Apple Podcast or Spotify, we appreciate you for tuning in. Make sure, if you are watching on Facebook right now, go ahead and hit that share button. And if you don't follow us on Facebook, make sure you go follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And as well as TikTok. We got some TikTok going on. Garrett runs that TikTok, and he's the TikTok king. So we appreciate Garrett for doing that for us. Yep, that's right.
I don't do any of that. If you're looking for that, you're not going to find it.
I'd like to see that.
You might see a few clips of us, but you ain't going to see that, I promise you.
I'd like to watch that.
I think we could get him to do it this duck season. Yeah,
not
with his shin waders on, we're going to get him to do a little jigging around for us. That's right.
New boot goofing.
In my tree stand.
That's right.
Genuine Austin's 3 pounds.
Absolutely. So let's talk. Let's dive off into some boats now. What without us, I know you could probably tell us for an hour here, but I mean, and we have plenty of time. But kind of give us a rundown on what you offer, the size of boats, and you don't have to get down to just the smallest details. But like, what kind of boats are you offering?
Well, something that would I wanted it to be pretty simplified because sometimes it's just overwhelming the
Yeah.
different things you can have. So we do 6 different sizes. So we do two 15-foot boats, two 16-foot boats, two 17-foot boats, 50, 53, 56-inch bottoms, either step transom or standard transom, 3 different deck heights. And then from there, you can just kind of, I call it custom within reason. There's options that you can add that are normal to us that just don't, it doesn't choke up our flow to build those things. But, you can have a gun box, or you can have gun trays on both sides, or you can have stacked gun trays or a single gun tray, a brush guard, then paint and liner options, different things like that, lights, switch panels. So, I mean, custom within reason is what I call it. Not a lot of options, pretty meat and potatoes, but simple and more
Sounds
than
like
enough.
a lot of options to me.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a lot of different combinations.
Yeah. So let's roundabout, not exactly to the dollar. I'm sure you know it, but what are these boats range in? And let's just talk without being juiced up with a bunch of options, just kind of bare minimum. What are they kind of starting at?
Well, it's pretty insane. They start, our bottom level boat starts around 9,000, and then I've seen dealers run orders in for boats that were in the 40s. That people just have customized. It's insane.
Wow.
I never dreamed it would be what it is.
So customize in reason until somebody orders one. Then you
Well, the
customize it.
dealers. So there's only so much I do, and then the
Yeah.
dealers do so much
I
more
got you.
beyond that.
I got you.
So
Okay.
since you're kind of becoming a regular on the show, I mean, we could probably get one of those 10 to 15,000 ones, huh?
Yeah, we could probably make a
We could make
discount
a deal.
program, some kind of work release program for you boys.
We were wanting that one of those 5-finger discounts where
Oh Lord.
we'll make you presenting sponsor.
I tell you what, I've got some really loyal employees. I think if somebody tried a 5-finger discount, they'd lose with a 4-finger deal.
I understand. But so I mean, you can customize these from you guys only so much, but the dealers can do even more with them.
Oh, they'll just go nuts on it. There's several dealers that do custom fabrication, custom paint. I'll see hydroturf. I see boats with clear coat on them. It's silly what it's become, but I mean, there's custom hydroturf and clear coat and custom paint jobs, and people are dolling up these motors, and then you got like it's like anything else in the hunting industry. The equipment's gotten so much better that you couldn't see yourself spending that much money 10 years ago, but it's like you can't live without it at the same time. Like we're all running hydraulic kick-up plates on the back of our boats. We didn't have to have those kill ducts 10 years ago, but we're going to
Sure
run.
does make it nice.
It sure does make it nice. It's like you don't see one without it now.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 10, 15 years ago when we were hunting without mud motors, which I know you guys, just run outboards most of the time where y'all hunt. But, for us, we didn't have to have a mud motor, but it sure does make it a lot easier where we hunt at.
Yeah.
We have a joke in our neighborhood. We hate the noise, but when I had one, I had a mud motor that I ran for about 3 years. We didn't walk near as much either.
I know, and that's what we were trying to get away from. And just a quick story of how all that came about. Garrett and I were walking into this public place. We were parking on this river and cutting through. I don't know. It wasn't even far. You guys walk a lot further than we do. I mean, this was probably 500 yards we were walking, but carrying decoys.
It was hard walking though.
It was hard walking, but
the name of that WMA was Wham Break. It's in northeast Louisiana.
That's right.
It's a fine place to hunt.
Well, we were in there one day, just wore out from all of this, and somebody come riding in with a mud motor right up to us, and we were like,
You got to be kidding me. We're sweating.
What the hell is this?
Out of
I
breath.
mean, we didn't know what it was. Like, what is this? We got to get one next year.
Gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
Got it. So it does cut out a lot on your walking for sure. But Garrett and I have gotten, it's a love-hate relationship because now the ducks can't rest anywhere. because
Yeah.
you can get in there. And I know we'll get way off on another story there, and we've done that before about mud motors, but it's a love-hate relationship because we don't want to walk, but then again,
I'm
the
not going
ducks
hunting
never.
without it. I'm not going hunting without it. But that being said, it does have its disadvantages when it comes to ducks not being able to have places that they can hide. People just run all over, and there's no crevice that you can't get to with a mud motor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If
So
it's wet, you can get there.
yeah, yeah,
With enough soul power and determination, you can make it
that's right. You
anywhere
can
you
make
want to
it.
go.
Let's talk about motors while we're on that subject. People that hunt public places, there are a lot of rules around motors now and stuff like that. What are and we don't hunt those tight places. Where we hunt publicly, there's no regulations on any of that. But what are some of the regulations now? Because I heard, or I thought I heard, that they were changing. Is that right?
Well, I think there's some information coming out about decibels or something. I don't know
Yeah,
what kind of cartoon stuff that's going to look like. Like, is the game warden going to be holding a megaphone, like pointing at your motor, trying to figure out how many decibels it's making it idle because it's not making the same sound at idle when you're running down the ditch. So, I don't know. I think sometimes we could just stand to have a few less rules and a little bit more honor system and just go from there.
well, that honor system is going down the drain just because there's so many idiots out there hunting. I mean, I'll just say it.
That's true.
I mean, it's kind of like Garrett and I were talking one day about common sense. It's not common anymore. So it's
It's not.
it's just one of those things that you would think that everybody has the same goal, and everybody should have the same goal, but nobody cares about what Zach's doing. They want to kill ducks. They
They're
care
trying
less
to
if
get
Zach-
that limit. They
That's
want
right.
that pick.
To the plug, get that limit.
Get that
Get that-
Instagram pic.
Scrape
that-
them off top of the trees and say, we out here.
That's right. I mean,
I
and
can't stand it.
Garrett told me not to mention his name, but I will. We all know an outlaw named Jeremy Hughes, and I mean,
Bobby
he's just
McCullough Hughes.
yeah, and he's just an outlaw.
I swear he'll shoot them off the top of the trees.
Treetop and ducks.
He'll daylight you. He'll come in there, 5 minutes after shooting time. I think he just puts his boat down and listens, and wherever they're shooting, he just pulls up on them. And says, "Man, I'm Jeremy Hughes, and I've been hunting down here for so and so years, and I'm hunting here today."
Well, I'm glad he's both of y'all's buddies and not mine.
Yeah, somebody has to take him, don't they, Zach?
Man, I've hunted with him a long time, and I do enjoy it. We're just poking fun here if anybody doesn't really know him, but
no, we
he
don't.
if there's something to complain about, he's gonna find a way to complain about it.
I know a guy like that.
You got
Actually,
one now?
I actually
think-
know two guys like that. One is on the screen, and the other one's his daddy.
Cam, can we get Garrett off the screen? Just take him away. Technical difficulty.
He's
We were on the
speechless.
hunt.
He doesn't know what to say.
I finally got Jerm to break his comfort zone and leave the one little area he likes to hunt, and he came with me, and he pulls in there at daylight just complaining about how hard it was to get in here, and I'm never coming back here again. And then 10 minutes later, we're sitting there with 5 limits. He said, "Man, we got to find a better trail in here."
That's right. Well, I took him to a public place that some people invite me to come to, and I took him, and it poured down rain on us, and we killed, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 limits of mallards that morning. He never shot his gun. They were coming in 2 or 3 or 4 at a time. There were 6 of us, and he was like, "Man, that's just not how we do it. If there's only 4 ducks, all 6 of us don't shoot." And I told him, I said, "Jeremy, I bought shells. I'm wasting them. I'm going to the plug. I may not kill a single duck. I may kill all 4 of them. I don't care. I'm shooting." And he sat there in the rain all day and didn't fire a shot. So that's my story for old Germ.
Shelter Insurance Outdoors.
That's right. Coming to you live. But so on the motors, do you guys sell motors with your boats, or are you just strictly boats? Can you get the
Well,
full
we
rig?
package a lot of my dealers are loose engine dealers, and then just by the nature of this client base, a lot of them have their own engines.
Yeah.
But we do package. So, like, we package with Tohatsu and Gator Tail. That's the 2 engines I deal with. That's the 2 engines I believe in. I feel like Tohatsu is the best new outboard on the market, and I feel like Gatortail is the best surface drive engine on the market. I believe in the people behind the brands; they're easy to deal with, and I'm not going to offer anything else. That's just what we're going to carry.
Yeah. Well, look, we're going to talk a little bit more. I want to get into some of the dealer stuff here in just a minute so people can know where to find boat set. And so we'll talk about that. Let's take another short commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have more with Zack Randall from Reaper Boats. We'll be right back. Welcome back to episode 11, season 2, right here on The Blind. We have got our main man, Zack Randall from Reaper Boats, with us, and we're going to talk some more about some duck boats with him. Before we do, I want to give a big shout out to my man, Russell Robertson, over at Alpha Innovations. Just took my side-by-side up there to them a week or two ago, and they put my rack back on for me and wired it all up. And they have come out with a new roof rack that is pretty sweet, to say the least. And we'll get some pictures of that and stuff, post on our social media as well. But if you are in the market for a rack for your side-by-side, they're not cheap, and but anything worth having is not cheap. You know, if you want the good stuff, you got to pay for it. It's just like a Reaper boat.
Okay.
I mean, you don't want no old John boat with a trolling motor on the back. You got to pay for the
It'll
good
get you
stuff.
there, but it ain't very much fun.
Yeah, but make sure you
And you're
go.
going to look good doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Hey,
That's
and
right.
that's part of it nowadays, man. You got to at least look a little good, you know. So
Hey, got to have a little flair.
Hey, we
That's
fixing
right.
to look real good with them Alpha racks. Those things are sweet.
they are
They're pretty
sweet. man.
sweet.
They are sweet. My man Russell hooked us up, got it all wired up. Man, there's switches everywhere. There's lights. We can pull out in the middle of anywhere and light up as many acres as we want. So
Tell you that.
throw the headlamps in the in your blind bag. Don't even have to get them out. Pull out in the hole. Hit the lights, and it looks like a train.
It's a light show.
Train coming down the tracks. So, but yeah, go over to alpharack.usa.com and look at those, and then pick up the phone and call Russell. He's got all different options, and that's one thing that he's got that some of the other racks out there don't. And I'm not knocking any of them because there are good racks out there, but man, his are so well built and made right here in Arkansas, and there's so many options that you
He's
can
got
get on
ice chest racks. He's got all kinds of accessories.
Oh my gosh! You could get up. You could put Millennium seats on it with gun mounts, where you can go out and, you know, spotlight deer or whatever you enjoy doing. You know, and
I got to go.
Zach, you might want to take some notes from them and see what you can do with these boats.
Man, I got to go. I'm talking about spotlighting deer.
I didn't say we did it. I said if you want to. We're not outlaws, right?
He said this episode of The Blind's brought to you by Qzar Q-Beams because the deer move better at night.
That's right, exactly. But look, we're talking Reaper boats right now with our man Zack Randall, and so before we went to our last break, we were talking about dealers and what they do for you. If somebody wants to find a dealer near them, how can they find where all of your dealers are, and who are some of them?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to the website. I mean, we've got dealers from South Carolina to Texas. I mean, pretty well the SEC covered. We've got a dealer in Destin, so not much of Florida's covered, but for the most part, we've got South Carolina all the way over. There's 15 of them. I mean, we'd love to have more, but I can't produce enough boats to keep these guys in stock, so I can't add any more right now. So we got some stuff.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a good problem. We got some stuff in play. We just built a new facility here in Ruston, so we're tripling size. We haven't told anybody that yet, but we're tripling the size. So
You heard it here first, exclusive.
heard it here first, exclusive drop. And
That's
so
right. Well, hey,
we're gonna have some-
if you need any insurance on that new building, holler at me.
man, you don't want that hassle.
I probably don't.
Shelter don't want to do commercial.
We don't want that big of a risk. So,
No.
yeah. But
Well, anybody around our area that's looking, I saw Futrail Marine in Heber Springs, and they've also got a place in Nashville. Is that right?
Well, they've got Nashville, Heber Springs, and Hot Springs, but the bulk of their duck boat operation is out of Nashville. Tony Hodge is a guy that runs that place. They got some good folks working with them. I bought, like many people out there, I bought my first duck boat from Tony Hodge, however many years ago. But he's been around a long time in Arkansas. If you're buying boats, you know him. But yeah,
So
Arkansas is covered well.
if you want to find a list of dealers, what's your website they can go to?
ReaperBoats.com.
Pretty easy.
We
ReaperBoats.com.
try to keep it simple, man.
That's right. You got to keep it simple for folks like us, just straight to the point. But look, let's talk a little bit about Reaper Fest. That was a big party that you put on. I don't know what else to call it. I mean, it was a little bit of a bunch of things. So why don't you tell us, first off, what it was, when it was, and what your plans are moving forward?
Well, it was in August. Did a smaller scale version of it the year before. Didn't really know what we were looking for. Just had a river run and a small little concert afterwards. 120 something boats the first year. We're like, okay, this is going to be silly. So we really put some money behind it, put some marketing behind it, started pushing it out, and at the end of June started really marketing and getting ready for it. And we had a big river run. We had several outdoor companies that came on with us and sponsored. Brought 4 Nashville recording artists in that I've been fortunate enough to become friends with that were incredible. So, I mean, we had 340 boats and then 4 full band concerts. So, I mean, basically a music festival, an outdoor expo, and a river run all together.
So are you expecting for it to be bigger and better in 2024?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a disconnect between the river and the venue, where the music's at, just because I guess people spend so much time on the water all day. It's hard to get them to drive 30 minutes there. We had a great turnout, but not what we were expecting based off what was on the water. So we're working with the city of Monroe and West Monroe, and we're gonna move the music festival and outdoor expo portion of it to the water. So basically, we're gonna find a way to set up a big tent like Duck Gumbo and set people up in there.
Awesome. And are you still planning on tentatively having it around the August time next year?
Yeah, mid to late August. It just seems to be a good fit for everybody. There he is.
Oh my gosh,
He's right.
It's my mom always used to tell me not to talk the devil up, and by God, there he is. I mean, you talked him up. So, but we appreciate our viewers for tuning in. And,
put him on the screen.
Yeah, got him on the screen there. He's big time.
That's him and his boss, Haley.
Yep, that's right. And so, speaking of somebody else, Preston called me today. I guess he saw that you were going to be on the show, and I guess he was wanting to see if he could call in or something too. But
I'd love to dial him in. We talk every day.
He didn't answer my phone call when I called him back. He must have been too busy writing insurance.
He's Preston's getting ready to leave to go to Kansas. His first time ever going up there deer hunting, and he'll never be the same. Y'all will be lucky to see him in the office in November moving forward, because
now, is he
I know
doing,
what it does to a man.
Is he just freelance? What's he doing? Is he going on a hunt with somebody? Or?
No, he ain't gonna do that.
Well, I was fixing to say, because the Preston I know is not going to pay anybody to do that.
He's going to go up there and try to figure it out himself. But man, he's one of the most skilled woodmen that I know, so I wouldn't bet against him.
Probably sleep in his truck and eat bologna sandwiches.
He's going to sleep in the back seat of his truck and eat bologna sandwiches, and you can take that to the bank.
Absolutely, I would bet $100 bill on it right now that he would.
You know what they call his agency, don't they? Last Chance Shelter. They got pull-up bars in there. They got Gatorades in the fridge. Like they're slinging insurance. It's a little.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Hey, he learned from one of the best. He got trained down there, and Jeremy starved him out, so he had to go make some money somewhere.
That's right. Had to get on the team.
Eating lean cuisines for lunch, and so he had to.
That dude lived in the crappiest apartment in Arkadelphia, Arkansas, eating bologna sandwiches for lunch every day.
Over at the college?
No, it was like 3 seconds from Jeremy's office. I think he walked to work.
Well, I know Garrett doesn't know who we're talking about, but I'll introduce you to him one day, Garrett. But
One
let's
day,
get.
Sounds like an interesting
on
fella.
He is an interesting fella. He is an interesting fella. He's a great guy. But let's get back on some reaper boats. We'll have to get old Preston on here and let him talk about duck calling, because he's been duck calling for a while, and I'm telling you, he's gonna win it one day.
He's gonna win it. The joke
it.
he makes with me is he said, "I'll win it when a reaper boat's surprised." So I guess I gotta step up and make that happen.
Well, make it this next year. It'd be a good year for him.
He's in. He's already qualified this year. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
in.
Well, great. And but let's get back on some reaper boats. So you told us what you got right now. Is there anything new coming out? Anything for this, coming up? I know we're already up on season, but you got anything new coming that you can maybe let out?
I got some stuff I'm working on that we might be driving around this fall without stickers on it, hoping nobody sees it.
Okay.
That's
I think when we
about all.
saw you last year, you didn't have as much as you have now. You have some. Let's see. I always like those pods on the back. I don't think you were having pods last time. So you've
What do
already
you call
added
those
some
things?
new
Steps?
stuff.
What are those?
Step
Step
transom.
transom.
Yeah.
Well, you came down to Texarkana last year.
I was basically sick when I was there.
Yeah, and pulled a boat down here with you. I don't know where you were coming back from or where you were
Duck
coming
camp.
from, but yeah, we appreciate you for making that happen, and we appreciate you tonight for being with us. And I tell you what, let's take one more break, and then when we come back, we are going to dive off into some duck hunting. It's cooler weather around here. It's getting time for duck hunting. Jeremy is done working. He said he's ready to hunt, and so let's take one last break, and then we'll come back and let's talk some duck hunting with Zack Randall.
Come on.
Welcome back here to episode 11 of season 2. We've got our man Zack Randall from the Reaper Boats here with us, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule from running around the country hunting to sit down and talk with us. So before we start talking about duck hunting in Arkansas, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, because you've been a busy guy.
Man, in between building as many boats as we can build, my passion for a long time has been hunting big whitetails in the Midwest, and had an opportunity in early October to hunt a really giant deer in Oklahoma, and it just didn't pan out the way it needed to, but put eyes on him a couple times. He was on a rodeo cow farm. It just got all the way off the rails. One of them saw a lizard, freaked out, got weird. But since then, I just hunting around a little bit. Killed a buck with my bow the other day. Hunting with Lakin a little bit. She's killed a deer already this year. We're about to go to Texas this weekend, and you'll see a good friend of mine, Zane Vestal, down there, and he's got a big ranch in Catula. It's just north of Mexico. It's an incredible place. If you never got to see something like that, you try to get to South Texas if you like to deer hunt at least once.
So being in the outdoor industry, in the boat making world, you meet a ton of people at expos, at festival, all the stuff that goes on. You're at a lot of it, and have you met some pretty cool people that you may get to go do some duck hunting some other places this year, or are you just gonna stay down there in the neighborhood and hang out?
Man, I'll probably be in the neighborhood. I told you, if I can't shoot them in the trees, I'm not going to be a part of it. But no, I've been in the industry for so long. Reaper's a young company, but I'm not really young in the industry. So I've got my same friends that I've always had, and you'll end up with some new ones. Like I really love the Lost Break guys. I'm gonna do some work with them with Reaper this coming year, and a couple more beyond that. So I imagine I'll get to go up to the island and do some hunting if it ever gets some water. But for the most part, man, you can find me right there,
hanging out.
right there in East Arkansas.
Well, you've already mentioned twice about hunting in the woods, and of course, everybody likes hunting in the woods.
Careful.
Brian and I, we
Careful.
love hunting in the woods. I'm not going to say what woods he hunts in. I wouldn't name drop like that. But you know, where we hunt, our public, we don't have a lot of public woods. We have public land to hunt, but not a lot of woods. What is it that makes the public woods in Arkansas so special?
Man, if they got woods like this somewhere else, then I'm sure it's special too. But you know, I've been blessed to go to some really cool private places with friends or acquaintances or whatever. And even the private timber, you know, they don't do it the same for some reason. You know, I've been in the private woods and you don't see many spins, you know, more than 20, 30 ducks, which is a lot of ducks. Everybody loves to see 20 or 30 finish, but what we like to do, what Jeremy and myself and the guys that we hunt with like to do, when we leave every day, our goal is to put one really big group of ducks on the water. If we shoot ducks beyond that, that's cool. If we see one big group do it, that's all we want to see. And I mean, we've been able to see some big groups of 100,
What are you calling a big group?
300, 400, 500. I mean,
that's a pretty big group.
when they get
gets loud in the timber.
It gets loud, you know. On very few occasions, we've seen close to 1,000 ducks. I mean, it's hard to count much past that. But when you get that many to do it all at one time, it takes 10 minutes for them to get down in the trees. It's just incredible, and that's what it does it for me. Is when you get 50 to 100, especially the days where you get multiple groups of that, when they wad up and get real tight and come through one little hole in the trees, and it's just a different feeling.
Well, and Garrett and I have talked about this on the show before, and you know, of course, we will hunt public this year, but we did both have the opportunity to get in a private club this year, so we will hunt private as well.
Country club.
Hey, everybody's got to be something. I would love to be a member of the country club. So, but when we go hunt public, even though it's not the woods, we're hunting backwater, off the river, off the lake, you know, buckbrush, willow trees, stuff like that, you know. And but there's just something about it when you do it publicly toward privately. It's just so, and not, like I said, I'm not hating against. There's a lot of people that hate against the private side.
It's a different sense of accomplishment that you get when you do it on public ground. You
feel like you, and I don't know if you really do or not, but you feel like you work harder. You feel like you, man, it just takes that much more to do it in the public.
Well, I'm a competitive person, and I feel like everybody that's really good at it on the public ground is extremely competitive. And I don't care if we're throwing rocks at a stop sign. I want to beat you.
Yeah.
You know, whether I know you or not, it doesn't matter. So when you're in that, there's very few times where you just get a block of woods to yourself. And I've been there. I've enjoyed it. It's awesome. But the times that you're the most jacked up is when you're in there and you're kind of competing with somebody, whether you know it or not, and you get those ducks finally to push off to the edge far enough where you need them, and you send them out in a straight line, you get them, and you see them line up and come back, and you know they're not even looking anywhere else, and you got them, you're jacked. Like when that group finishes and you got competition around you and you shoot that volley off, you can't describe it. I mean, you're hollering like you just hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth.
And that may be what it is. You know, I've never really thought
I think
about
that's
that,
a lot of it.
But publicly, you're competing against everybody else that was at that boat ramp. You know, whether they're in the hole right next to you or no matter where they are, when you go back to the boat ramp in a public place, it gives you a little more sense of pride when you roll up in there with a bunch of mallards in the front and these other guys are rolling back in there.
Well, when we roll back up, they're probably shoved in a decoy bag or a backpack or in the front deck or something like that.
But you know you did it. You know.
I know I did it, but you aren't going to know I did it.
But you still have that feeling, even though other people don't see them, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You see those other guys, and you know that you did it and they didn't.
I bet we spend about 60 seconds collectively at a boat ramp, you know, loading up and unloading, both going out and coming in. I mean, we'll high five at camp. We ain't got time for that.
It's hilarious to me that because we don't do that. You know, I mean, but I get what you guys are doing. I get it, completely get it, and agree with it. But it's just so funny to hear people that hunt different places, how secretive
culture.
things
The
have gotten. The
culture's
culture,
different.
yeah, that's right. It's so
It's-
secretive.
It's cult like, man. I mean,
I know it.
we call it the neighborhood, and in our neighborhood, there's 4 different groups, and we hunt together, we trade out. We don't really have to have any outsiders ever, so that information stays tight between our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then all your groups, they'll have 1 or 2 different groups that they trade information with that they trust, but like other than that, I mean, it's not shared with the general public.
But the thing is, you have to do that. You have to be
Yeah.
that way. And that's what we were talking about, common
Because
sense.
the honor system doesn't work. That's
that
why.
there's because if you don't do that, then the next day or the next time you want to go hunt that hole, the
There's
guy
somebody
that saw
sitting
you
there.
pull up with ducks or knows that you did it's going to be
Yeah.
in there.
Well, typically, what we deal with a lot of places we hunt, your real successful groups, your top 4 or 5 groups, no matter where you go, we know where each other is going. I mean, it's not secret because we would rather not fight each other than to be.
Yeah.
You don't want 4 really good groups right here when you could have a good distance between us where everybody could work ducks. So typically, I mean, you end up with the first 15 boats in line is 3 groups that all know each other, and then everybody after that's just filling in the gaps.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I mean it's nothing bad. So don't get nervous on me by any means when I say that. A lot of people are like, but what's the biggest problem that you see with public hunting? And I'm going to get specific to Arkansas. If I was asking you, give me your top 2 or 3 biggest problems that you see. Let's vent it out right here.
Man, it's tough. Because I told you, I'm against extra legislation. I think that the non-resident legislation that they have now is a joke. Because let's just be honest, your first split, there's no water. So having set days where they can show up means that every non-resident that hunts in the state of Arkansas is showing up inside of those dates. So you can just write it off at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the 30-day rule before, but let them come as they wanted to. I felt like there was less crowding before when they could come as they wanted to. So what you do now is, on the out-of-state days on WMAs, the WMAs are slam. And then on the days that they can't be on the WMAs, the federal ground slam. So it doesn't scatter anybody out. And then the other issue is just water. I mean, some of it's Mother Nature, some of it's mismanagement. I mean, they've been fixing a water structure at Hurricane for 2 years, so Hurricane hasn't held any water, and that's a place that holds 100 boats a day when it's got water. They haven't flooded a couple of my favorite places in between there in Stuttgart in several years, and that would hold several boats. I mean, what you do is you get crowding on certain areas because of mismanagement with water and because of the way that they've narrowed down the out-of-state pressure.
So what is Zack Randall's? What is your quick fix? I mean, if the commissioner or whoever it is over the Game of Fish, the number one guy, whoever he is, came to you and said, "Hey, whatever you tell me right now, we're going to put this into regulation." What would be one thing that you could tell him that you think would help this problem?
Drop your boards to fill the bayous on all WMAs, just your waterways, October 15th. And then the November 7th through the 10th, drop the gates to put a little bit of water in the woods.
So you think that the water earlier would help some of the problem?
Well, we're just not catching so there was a 5-inch rain the other day. There's no gates in. Let's just use Biomeda for an example. Everybody knows it. There's no gates in. So that water's going to come in and go right back out.
Yeah.
Why don't we catch that water at least enough to fill the ditches up? Mm-hmm. There's got to be a way to set that where we can at least fill the ditches up. So when the next rain comes and it's time to catch it, we're not filling the ditches up and then filling the woods up. I mean, the trees are dormant, dude. It's 30 degrees in the morning. Put water on it. The issue is getting the water off.
Yeah.
As far as tree health goes, but man, if we gotta get water on our WMAs because ducks are going to quit imprinting on it if we don't start putting water on them. And we got to, man, I would like to see the non-resident stuff go back to just the 30 days of their choosing instead of having them neck down to one time period. Because what I saw is, since they've done that, there's places on federal ground that we've never seen a soul. But us, we'd show up at 6 o'clock. well, what happens when you really like to duck hunt in Arkansas and the Game and Fish tells you that you can't be here but these dates? You're going to go find somewhere else to go. So it's kind of let the cat out of the bag on some pretty tight-lipped federal stuff that's been tight to the chest for a long time.
Yeah.
Because people just found it.
Well, there's a lot. I think we could fill a whole show talking about this, couldn't we?
2 or 3.
I think, and you know, somebody else, and of course, I swore I wouldn't bring his name up again, but Jeremy's very passionate about it as well, and you know, that may be what we need to do one episode is
You want to have like a panel?
get a panel on here, and
How
I'll
many
just
people can we get on the screen?
I'll be the mediator and try to keep everybody from getting too riled up and let them remind them that this is a
We need to
kid-friendly
get some
show.
opposing views is what we need to get.
Well,
But,
you get 6 people that are on the Game and Fish Foundation that have never stepped foot in the public woods, and get 6 people like me, and we'll have a good argument.
We don't want to go that far with it, but we'll let you 6 get on here and hash it out. But yeah, we can't get the Game and Fish.
I
on
think
here
you
and let y'all.
see some pretty equal views, even against. So there's probably some different groups that don't care for us out there that would have very similar views to what we think about the woods. I mean,
That's all right. You guys are our people, so we don't really care about what another group thinks. So
don't care.
I mean, it is what it is. So, but do you think that part of the problem is that the Game and Fish are making regulations and rules and stuff without being one of the hunters in these places? Or
For a long time, there's been some blind regulations made. You know, the one person I'll say that's probably made an effort to outreach, at least, Austin Booth. I think he's trying to hear our side of it and trying to see how it works, but I haven't seen that yet personally. As far as everybody else, man, and I think until a Game and Fish Commissioner is some kind of elected position, and we're just going to deal with whoever helped the governor get elected is going to be the Game and Fish Commissioner, whether they've hunted or not.
Sounds like y'all need to call Oliver Anthony up and get him to write you a song.
Yeah, rich men north of Benton.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right. North of Benton. That's a good one. We might need to use that. But so, do you think it's a funding thing, or do you think it's a lack of resource thing, or do you think that
It's not a funding issue, man. Duck hunters spend money like wildfire.
Well, I mean, as far as the out of state,
if they told us we had to have a $300 WMA endorsement stamp, every person at duck hunt in the state of Arkansas buy it.
Well,
Money's not the issue.
speaking of money, do you think that people from out of state coming in should have to pay more?
I mean, if that's the case,
it's pretty cheap for somebody to come to Arkansas and duck hunt. I mean, especially publicly.
I think that's fair. I mean, when an Iowa deer tag cost me $1,000 and a Kansas deer tag cost me $800, and it cost me $300 for bow season and $300 for muzzleloader season and $300 for rifle season in Oklahoma and $500 for a Texas license. I mean, I think it's fair. I mean, man, I travel around the country turkey hunting in the spring, and I've got a stack of licenses this thick, and I paid every one of them. So I mean, it's just you got to pay to play. I don't have any objection to that. I mean, most of the people I know that are friends of mine from out of state that come to hunt, they're not coming to Arkansas because they can't afford it. So I mean, it's not going to stop them.
Well, and is that kind of what you think the Game and Fish and the people that make these decisions are saying? There's so much revenue that comes in to Arkansas from duck hunters to our businesses and hotels and things like that they don't want to charge so much because they think it'll cut down on the number of people that come, or maybe it weeds out the people who are coming, you know, the idiots that are coming that aren't spending any money anyways.
Man, it might weed out some of the immature hunters that just don't know the way.
That's what I mean.
You know, at the end of the day, they legally have as much right to it as we do.
Yeah.
But you know, if it costs more, you're certainly less likely to get a truckload of 16-year-old kids that have never stepped foot in those woods before.
Yeah.
I would hope not everybody has the luxury of that, but I would like to hope that maybe there's an older person that knows their way around the woods that can take somebody like that and introduce them and show them the unspoken culture that there is, and the respect for the woods and the respect for the process that a lot of us like to live by in there. I mean, how to hunt them right
Yeah.
by just our definition.
Well, and do you think that's one of the problems as well? Is that, of course, duck hunter numbers in the U.S. is dropping at a crazy rate. You wouldn't think that if you hunt some public places, but duck hunter numbers is dropping drastically, very quickly. Do you think that's one of the reasons that you do have all of these inexperienced hunters, is because you don't have the older guys that are continuing to hunt, that are teaching the next generation coming up? That we're just giving these guys guns and a license and saying, hey, go have at it?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm still seeing it the way it happened for me. My dad doesn't duck hunt. My uncles who got me into duck hunting and took me under his wing, and I had close friends of mine that were older than me that ultimately, I transitioned from being a part of that with my uncle, and then learned hunting in the woods with those friends that were older than me. And then we had some younger guys that have come beneath us that we've brought up through it, and they're doing their own thing now. And then I'm watching them do the same thing with another young group of guys. So, I mean, I see it. I don't know if it's just common or not, but in our circle, I certainly see, the younger guys getting taught right. I mean, and that's all we can do is just try to police ourselves and make sure what we're putting our hands on is nurtured properly.
Yeah. Well, man, I know that we could sit here, and Garrett and I are both. I mean, we love talking about this kind of stuff, and I mean, we could fill a whole another hour talking about this, but we're going to save this conversation for another day. I think we should do a full episode talking about just public land hunting in Arkansas. So you make sure you make time for us, and we're gonna get a few people. We're gonna make this happen. We may even get together somewhere and film it.
I want Live in the Blind to be live on SWL. We'll talk about it.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. But look, duck season's coming up in what? A little over 2 weeks now.
Man.
So
what's sentiment like? Y'all excited?
Hey, time out. I want to talk about the biggest mistake the Arkansas Game Fish has ever made one time.
It's your show.
Because we're talking about duck season coming up so quick. The only thing that they had ever done for the public land hunter was vote to back duck season up to start after Thanksgiving. And there was enough private crying that went on that they changed it back. Dude, there ain't no water for the opener ever. You're hunting a puddle. They're perfectly kind of ties into what we were talking about. Ducks getting here early, getting water in the woods. Started after Thanksgiving. You're going to get to hunt the same amount of days. So Preston and I, we'll get gassed up talking about that, but we were excited about it starting after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I saw that. It actually passed.
And then they changed it.
Like you said, they changed it over the course of a couple of months. They got signatures and got it reversed.
It's silly. I mean,
so do you think that would help the duck numbers to shorten down at least for a few years and try to see if it works?
I'd love to see it start after Thanksgiving, because that's just more time for us to get water and more time for ducks to get in the woods without hunting pressure and get comfortable. I mean, and dude, it's November. Go deer hunt. It's the rut. Go deer hunt. Go to Kansas. Go to Oklahoma. Go to Texas, Iowa, Nebraska, Missouri. Arkansas's got great deer. Go hunt deer in November, and then let's hunt ducks in December like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I can't say that I don't agree with you. I agree. So
I was bent up about that one.
Well, like I said, we're going to get a full episode and let you get unbent about everything. So
I'd heard that it passed, but I didn't really. I guess because where we hunt, we don't have quite as much regulation, that I didn't really know exactly why that was a thing. Or I guess for you it was for the water. And
man, it was so cool because it was going to be a little bit later start. I was hoping we'd have more water, more ducks, a little colder weather. It wasn't going to interfere with my deer hunting. I'm like, this is great.
The only argument that I heard against that was like, there's so many kids that hunt that first week of the Thanksgiving, and so many people that are off work that duck hunt. That's the only argument I ever heard for it. For keeping it the way it is. Like, forget that. Forget them kids.
Man, forget them kids.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, so are you guys ready? I mean, we ain't got but a little over 2 weeks, and it's here.
My stuff's ready. I do it for a living, son.
I hear you.
I'll be deer hunting.
You got your boat hooked up already?
It's sitting there ready to go.
Man, speaking of Arkansas, though, there's a lot of people that are going to have issues, it seems like, with water this year. So I guess it was back, what's today, the second? 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Mississippi River was at a record lows, over 5 feet lows, never happened before. And that just seems like it's going to be a big issue for some coming up. And that's probably one reason why you're so concerned about catching water now while you got it. Because you
Well,
don't
we
know
let
if
a
it's going to
5-inch
come.
rain go the other day.
Yeah. Well, if it's going to be far and in between, you got to catch it when it comes. So
Hey, if
Well,
you win at
I'm
the
not
country
saying-
club, you just pump it up and you're good.
You just turn that pump on, baby.
That's
we
right.
we got wells and plenty of diesel. Turn it on, baby.
And well, opening weekend in Arkansas on public land is going to be a requirement that each person bring their own bucket of water from home, and we'll see how much we can get in there.
All right. You'll all have to hunt the same hole to get enough water. So
Well, whatever the communion hole is, I'm going to go the other direction.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, look, before we get off of here, tell everybody again where they can find your boats and what social media you're on as well.
Man, we're reaperboats.com. All our dealers will be listed there. You can find information on us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Pretty well anywhere you take in information, you can find something about a Reaper boat. But I suggest you call a dealer, put your hands on one, check them out. The difference is undeniable when you get it in your hands.
Well, man, Zach, it's always a pleasure for us to chat with you. Another avid duck hunter, and again, we're going to make that episode happen where we can get on there and hash out some of this public land stuff. And like I said, we'll just sit back and let you guys go after it, and we'll just kind of mediate the thing just to keep us on task for a little while.
I love it. Let's get buzzers.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I don't think that you guys, it'd probably end up being like a presidential debate. I don't think anybody would pay attention to any buzzers or so it's just going to be all over the place. But I think it would be really good, and I think people want to hear it. So let's try to make that happen soon. But reaperboats.com, go check them out. Check them out on all the social media. They've got some really cool stuff coming. And then also keep in mind next August, Reaper Fest. And man, it was a big deal this year. I talked to you. We were going to come down. Things didn't work out for us. I will be there next year. Either
Let's
we will
get
be
you a
or I
barge in
will
the middle of the river. Y'all can shoot a live podcast off.
Oh, that's going to be tough because the equipment costs way too much as far as cameras. But we
Strap it down.
We make it get some stuff out there.
We'll put you on the bank.
We'll make it. That sounds a little better. So, but we're going to make something happen. You heard it right here. We will be at Reaper Fest in 2024. So I'm looking forward to it. Garrett, you got something to say? I thought he was leaning up saying something.
No, my little boy's trying to come in my room, so.
Okay, I thought you were getting the Snicker bar out. I thought he was.
Halloween candy.
That's right.
right.
Hey, the last trick-or-treater that came by the other day, I gave him 2 bags of candy.
Man, I
told him,
had
I
2
said, "Hey,
bags of
take it."
candy. My neighborhood has thousands of trick-or-treaters.
I didn't have a costume, so I just wore my Reaper Boats hoodie with the Grim Reaper on the back.
Yeah, he put his hood on like this.
Yeah, I thought
right.
that was fitting. Uh-huh.
He was a Grim Reaper.
That's right,
Yeah.
I was the Grim Reaper.
Well, look, Zach, we appreciate you as always, man. And if you're in the market for a boat, or maybe you just want to check them out, go over to reaperboats.com. Again, check them out on all social media. Be looking for new stuff coming out from them, and be looking in the duck woods and all around Arkansas, because I'm seeing more and more Reaper boats all the time, and they are good looking. And if I could talk my wife into it one day, I am going to get me one. So I spent way too much money on a side-by-side, so a boat is out right now, but I'm going to end up with one. And so Garrett's going to be in the market for a new boat before too long. So
Come on.
we're going
I'll
to give
check
Zach,
them out.
we're going to give Zach a call for sure. And
If
come
he doesn't
see
send
him.
me one first, I'll see if I can find one.
All right. Well, guys, again, we appreciate Zach for tuning in here or being with us tonight on episode 11. If you're tuning in, make sure you share this video on Facebook. And if you like The Blind, like this episode, make sure you go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and listen to all of our episodes. My man Cam, you can't see him. He's our producer. He's behind the scenes. He works hard. The podcast version will be out in about an hour. And it's a little bit different than the Facebook version just because everything's audio. So our commercials that you can see, we have audio commercials for them as well as an intro. And so it's pretty neat. Go over and check it out when you're driving somewhere, and go ahead and hit the little bell button up there and subscribe to us. Give us a 5-star rating, because that's the only way we can grow. And with you telling people that you enjoyed the episode, make sure you tell them to go over and check out all the other ones. And so,
Yeah.
man, Zack, we appreciate you, buddy. We'll see you soon, whether it's in the duck hole. If Jeremy will give me an invite, maybe I'll see you over there. I've been waiting for years for it. And
He calls the shots on all the guests.
he swears that this year is going to be the year, but we'll see. But either way, we'll see you on an episode here pretty soon. And for everybody here on The Blind, that is episode 11. We'll see you next time. Peace.